Hey guys, Sarah here. So a lot of you seem to want to see some more step-by-step instructions on how to make things, as I primarily do speed designs and they are kind of hard to follow if you're trying to learn. So that's what I'm going to do today with this more recent build that I did, the Barbie Dreamhouse. I'm going to kind of show you just little elements and how I put them together so you can make your own. I mean, you can make your own Barbie Dreamhouse. You can make whatever you want. Maybe, I don't know, an Oppenheimer Dreamhouse. I don't think that's a thing, but you can make whatever you want. So let's get started. Now, I am doing this in Adobe Designer 2, not Adobe Designer 1, although, I mean, all the isometric stuff is basically identical in 1 and 2, so you don't really need to worry if you're following along in 1 or 2. So that is good, I guess. So I'm going to show you how to create the specific elements that make up the illustration. I am not going to recreate this whole thing, because this actually took me a really long time. So hopefully this won't be quite as long as doing all that. And that is about it. I think we can probably get started. So this illustration is not very detailed, as you can see, but it's pretty simplistic. So it is very doable for a beginner. I mean, there's not a lot of textures, there's not a lot of elements. As you can see, there is not a lot of furniture and tiny little stuff in here. So yeah, it should be pretty easy to follow, or so I hope. So I've divided up the, I guess the different parts of this build, or really any isometric build, into a couple of different pieces. So there's the base and the floor. So that's the base here, and then the kind of the flooring and the main floor here. So basically what you're going to be building everything on top of. Then you've got the structural pieces. So that's the building itself. So like your walls, your windows, your different levels. Then we've got the colors, which are very important, but you don't actually need to start right away with picking your colors. I mean, you can pick your colors really quite a bit farther into your whole illustration, or kind of whenever you want. And that includes shading as well. And then we're going to go over some of the garnish, I guess. The garnish are the decor or the different furniture, basically all the little elements like trees and plants and beds and stuff that kind of bring a little bit of life into the illustration. And then lastly, shadows. And that's obviously these little, it's not letting me select it, but these tiny little shadows that add just a little bit more depth and life into your design. And I pretty much always do those at the very end, once I've actually built everything that needs to have a shadow. Although I guess you can pretty much do them whenever you want. These ones I did a little bit earlier because they weren't going to have the same kind of standard shadow that all the little trees and elements and everything else has. All right, so let's start with the base and the floor. So I am just first going to move all of this away. Goodbye, Dreamhouse. You can be over here now. And I'm going to get back my grid. Now I'm using, for my grid, I'm obviously an isometric grid, which I think it's defaulted to. Maybe I should show you how to do that first. That would probably be helpful. So if you go into the isometric panel here, you go grid settings, and if you hit on show grid, it'll automatically default to an isometric grid. And then you can put in, you can put in whenever you want here, but I tend to do 0.3, and then if you do 1 division of spacing, then if you zoom in, you can kind of see how much spacing that gives you. And that's basically my default. And then when I want more detailed elements, I will divide it. I'll go 2, so it puts a division in between there. And if I need even more detail, I will double that, and I'll go 4 for even more detail. And I think you can see where this is going. And I usually only go to about 8. I think in this specific build, I only went to 8 for the really tiny detailed stuff. And let's see, can I zoom in and see it? Yeah, so it's got a lot of little details in here. And as long as you have your force pixel alignment stuff on, then you'll be able to just draw right on the grid and have it in these tiny little element boxes. So where we're going to start is once you have your isometric grid on, you want to do edit and plane. And from there, I mean, it's actually quite simple. So you can, pick any color you want to start with. You can figure out your colors later, and then pick your square and edit in plane, and then figure out which plane you are going to draw on. So to do a top, you would have top on. To do a side, you would have your side on. Wow, I picked the wrong color. You would have your side on. And then front, obviously, for your front here. So that's the basics for isometric building. I'm going to go back into my grid settings, and I'm going to bring it back to 1 division. So as you see, the current shape is pretty much perfect right in there, because I designed it just to that 1 division spacing. Or no, not spacing, just the 1 division. So we're going to back that up, and then I'm going to delete that because we don't need that at all. So now let's make the actual, where am I going? We're going to do, well, essentially we're, again, not going to recreate this, but I'm going to show you how I did all the different elements. So let's start with the base. And all you do is essentially decide how big you want your base to be, and then draw that. And make it as big as you like. It's probably better to go bigger and then have to resize it and make it smaller later on. So let's go that size. Should we make it pink? I mean, just for Barbie? I mean, why not? And then we need our 2 sides. We need our front plane and our side plane. So not our sides, we need our front and our side. Trying to keep the terminology correct to make sense, but I often forget. Okay, so let's do our side plane. We'll do that a pink. Hey, pink. There we go. And I'm pressing, in case you're not sure, I'm pressing space bar just to get my little hand tool out here. And I'm not actually sure if I've always done that. It's weird. I just started using Adobe XD for UI design, because I took a UI design program. So I just started like automatically pressing spacebar to hand, and I can't remember if I ever did that before. I think I just pressed H for the hand in Adobe programs, but yeah, now I just press space and it works. All right, where are we now? Okay, so we got this base. Oh, I don't know why I went yellow with or like an orange with that. What do we want? We want like a pinky. No, I want to go darker. So typically when I'm doing pretty much, I think almost every isometric, what happened to this guy? Isometric design I've done, I will usually go with the top colors being the lightest, then the slightly darker color on the side plane, and then the darkest color I will have on my front plane here. So essentially the light source is coming from here, or maybe kind of high here. So everything over here. Not that you can see my hand gestures at the moment, but just imagine I'm making very descriptive hand gestures so you understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, over here I have the darkest planes, and then over on the top is usually the lightest. And I just try to keep that consistent, just cause you don't have to. I mean, you can make the top the darkest. You can decide wherever you want, but if you're new, might as well follow along. So we've got our pink top. We want maybe this as our darkest to be that nice color. And then for this side, I want something that's in the middle between those colors. Perfect. Now I should also mention that I did for the Barbie design, Barbie Dreamhouse, I did actually change the default grid lines. So I think before they were a very pale kind of color. And so you can go in here, and if you just want those grid lines to just show up a little bit better, you can make them dark. You can make them like super dark. You can make them pink. Oh, I like the pink actually. You can make them whatever you want. So I don't like them too dark because then they tend to interfere, but maybe a bit lighter would be a bit better. Oh, that's way too dark. Okay, let's get to a nice gray there. And about there, I think. So I think the subdivision lines is if I divide it and then go 8, and then all these are linked. So let's unlink that, and I think that's what this is. Well, it's not even showing up. Let's close that and zoom in. Yeah, okay, so that's my subdivision lines. Well, that's kind of cool, actually. I don't usually use that. I always have them as the same color. And we'll bring that back down so it's normal. Okay, so now we've got our awesome grid here, although I'm going to bring this back down to 1 division. Sounds like a band name. Anywho, now we have our base, and I don't always start with the base. In this one, I actually started with the house and then went to the base, but I did regret it. So I'm showing you that maybe the base is probably the best way to start. So we've got our base, and now, I mean, this can be green if you want to have grass. It can be kind of whatever you want. And then we can have the base for our little house, and you could have it, I mean, you could have it as the same color, and just kind of sort of like a shadow of almost what you're going to have as your build. Or you could actually give this some depth and build it up so that your house is actually slightly higher than everything else, like your grass. So see here, I've got my grass and my little, I guess pink concrete going around the house. And then the actual house is a little bit higher up. So I was able to put some stairs in here. And if you've seen any of my other builds, you should know I love stairs, isometric stairs specifically. All other stairs are terrible, but isometric stairs, they are fun, like a lot of fun. Mainly because they're easy and you can get really crazy with them. So anyhow, so we've got, what have we got? We can bring this up, and I'm just pressing Alt and moving it over. Why am I pressing Alt? Because I'm on a PC. So I'm sorry if you use a Mac. But I'm on a PC, so I like PCs. I play a lot of games, and a Mac just does not fulfill that, the purpose of allowing me to play games on my computer. So also Macs are really expensive. Sorry. I need my PC. Most of my jobs have actually used Macs, in professional settings. I think all of them almost, except for one or two. And the one or two were startups where, PC was usually the better option just because we were on a very limited budget. I'm getting lost now. Okay, so we've got our base, we've got our floor. So you can kind of keep playing around with that and keep building it up as high as you want. I mean, it's pretty simple to kind of do. You've got just the main level here. What have you got? And then you just bring it up again. You can bring it up here. And, that needs to be higher up. And just keep creating more floors and more levels. Bring that to the front. And over here. So yeah, so we've got something weird going on. I kind of like the yellow and the magenta though. It's feels like we should add some cyan too to really get our CMYK going. That's not quite cyan, that's like a turquoisey color. But I like it. Okay, so what comes next? We've got our base and our floor, and I hope that explains most of that. It's very, very simple and basic, but I mean, I'm at the point in my, I guess, design career where something that's simple and basic isn't actually simple and basic. It's just something I've been doing for so long that I don't have like a proper perspective on it. So if that's the case and I'm making this really difficult, please let me know, because I don't know what I'm doing. Do any of us know what we're doing? No. Okay. So next is the structural pieces and the building itself. So this is walls, essentially. Or I guess first we start with columns. So for a little column, or I guess a corner wall, basically all the lines here. Yeah, the lines. The structure, let's call it the structure. The supporting walls. I mean, you could not have those and just have the second level floating. I mean, if I had a Barbie Dreamhouse, I would definitely have like floating walls and cool stuff like that. But I don't, and I live in reality where there's actual physics. So we're going to have to just build a support beam. Support beam, that's the word. Okay. So we've got one, and we did that on the side, and next we're going to do one on the front. And we'll pick our color from over here. And that's pretty much it. If you're not planning on having anything on top, then you'll want to give this a tiny little top bit like that. Let's make it yellow. Is that actually on the grid? Yeah, it is. Okay. Good. And then we can just select all three of those planes and Alt-Shift to duplicate them over here. Oops. And I'm sorry, I don't know what that would be on a Mac. I have no idea. It may involve command. I don't actually know. but here's hoping you can figure it out. It's a terrible instruction. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we've got our two little columns here. Let's find, hey, let me select you. Usually I will actually group this. So I'll go Control G, which that's Command G, I'm pretty sure, group on Mac. It's been a while since I used a Mac professionally, so I can't remember all the different key commands. Mostly on PC. And we can bring that over. What am I doing? What am I doing? I am copying or duplicating to get this weird thing. Not sure if I should have gone with yellow. This is feeling like a weird choice now, but it does make it really easy to see. So this isn't going to be a Barbie Dreamhouse. This is going to be something weird. Okay, but the point is to show you how. Now, on this build, this is, well, essentially I started with these really thick walls or really thick support beams. And then once I had built the, I built, I think, all 3 levels with that thickness. But then I decided I didn't want to have support beams that were that thick because I didn't really like it. It kind of took away from the rest of the build. I wanted a bit more room to play around with, like the wall details and things like that. So then I actually had to go in and change the size. So if you get to that point, you just go to grid settings and change your divisions. I went to 2, and you go in here, get nice and close there. And then I'm just going to click side so I can edit the side, and I'm going to Control-Shift-E to ungroup and bring it in and bring it in. Just move it so I can keep it in the grid, but make it just a bit smaller. And I'm going to do that with all the planes. And then once I have that back in the size that I like, I will group that again. And see, now we've got a much smaller pillar, support beam and or pillar that we can use to be the main structural kind of point for our build. And I'm just going to duplicate that everywhere else. So at this point, I mean, you can look and see which one you prefer best and go from there. Why is that not? There we go. So yeah, I went with the smaller ones here, but you can kind of go with whatever you want. Just as long as you know how to go back and forth between the two, or you can make them bigger with the same thing. Just make them take up, more than one of the grids. If I wanted to make it bigger, I would go here, and same with the other side. And obviously I would do the top as well to match. Maybe we make that a different color, like that. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of different pillar thicknesses. Yeah, okay. This blue plant is driving me nuts. I'm just going to delete it. Pretend it doesn't exist. Yeah, it's gross. Okay, and that shadow. Ooh, okay. I'm going to stop referring to this one so much. All of this is not looking great. But it's not going to. Until your design is all completely done and polished, it's going to look like garbage most of the time. That's a graphic design, or I guess illustration. I don't know. That's a graphic design at least. Illustration might be different. Who knows? And now what are we going to do next? We should make that bright blue. Nice. That's a little blinding. Yeah, I'll go with it. Okay, so next we are going to, I forgot what I was doing. What was I doing? Oh, I was going to do windows. The windows. Okay, windows actually are quite fun. So first, before we do that, I'm going to give this whole thing a roof. And because we are on different levels here, we would need to create pillars that are a bit longer here to match up. But I kind of want to keep this simple, so we're going to delete that level for simplicity's sake. And I'm going to get rid of this and this. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to bring it way over here. And yeah, beautiful. And we're going to bring this one over here too. And I will obviously have to edit that a little bit. Hey, get on your spot. You're not in your spot, dude. Get in your spot. Thank you. And let's bring that up and out. Probably don't need to detail every single movement I'm making. And zoom in and zoom out. That's unnecessary and annoying. Okay, now we've got this. Now we can do our ceiling, roof, ceiling. Yeah, both of those. We'll make it orange so we can see what we're doing, but a nice orange. That's a nicer orange. So yes, we do lose the back pillar, but I mean, you can get rid of it if you want. We're not going to see it again as long as I have this roof on. And for the same thing that we do with everything else, basically, we got to give this roof, because it is not a two-dimensional object, we have to give it some depth. So we need to give it a side plane, like so. And I think we still have the two divisions on, so we get those nice same kind of pillar thickness matchiness. That didn't make any sense. We get the same, no, that did actually make sense. The same thickness as the pillars rather than the thicker lines. So then just make sure that your colors match per side. And again, these aren't the final colors that you need to obviously go with at the end. You can change them all later. But it is, slightly less time consuming if you pick the colors earlier on, or at least when you have kind of a little bit of your design, like when you get to this point where you have a little bit of a structure starting, then decide to pick colors, it's a bit easier. So why don't we we'll do our Barbie Dreamhouse-ish colors. We'll do nice pink, and we'll make this pink as well. Hey, I said pink. Thank you. And that is about, what are we gonna do on here? We could do some grassy colors. Oh, that's so bright, man. That is very bright. Let's make it a bit more pastel. Okay. So now we have our tiny little building. Obviously not very Dreamhousey, but again, not doing that. We're just showing the basics. And now we want windows. So windows are pretty fun. I have mentioned I like doing the windows. So let's do a giant window in the front. So I'm just going to drag this right about here. So I'm going to have this entire wall here, one giant window. So the easiest way to do a window is simply to, again, get your little rectangle tool, and click on the side, and then get a blue color, because windows like to be blue, I guess. They don't have to be, but they're nice when they are. And then we go and we click on multiply, and then I bring the opacity down, opacity, to whatever works. It's nothing set in stone, it just works. Now, because we are dealing with kind of like a really sort of thick looking glass, like it looks like the glass basically is thick enough that it goes from here to here. So we are going to want to have some sort of shadow or, kind of like a shadow underneath. So I'm going to bring this up here for a minute, and I'm going to create my little window base, I guess. I'm going to bring it to there, and then I will make it this nice pink, but a little darker. And then because you see over here, it bumps right into that line, the pillar. So I'm going to go and convert to curves, and then just press shift and bring in that little anchor point and put my window back and make it nice and tucked where it needs to be. And then I'm going to bring it back to the front. Whoops. I brought it to the back. That was wrong. Okay, so now it's in the front. So now it looks like there's a nice thick pane of glass in the front here. See? Ooh. And you can make that color whatever you want. I think on the Barbie Dreamhouse that I actually kind of modeled this after, the windows were actually a pink color, I think, but I didn't like pink windows. It just felt weird. But you could do pink windows. Yeah. I like the blue. I don't like the pink. Pink everywhere else, but the windows, it just feels like it's just a bit too much. Maybe we just make this, instead of messing with the color, we just make it a little bit brighter or less opaque, less transparent rather. And then you can play around with the blend modes too, but I think multiply usually works pretty well. Or normal, and then just bring it down a bit. It really depends on how you want your windows to look, and also depends on the color probably. But we'll just leave it at, 50. What did I have up here? Let's go check. What were my windows up here? Okay, so my window up here it was a blue color, and it was at 45 and multiply. But I had an interior wall here where I don't have an interior wall here because there is just the pillars there. Regardless, you can do the glass windows now. And next, what should we do next? What was on my list? I've got my little list here in my notebooks. We've got the base, the floor, the structural pieces, and the building itself. As you notice, I haven't done an actual building with like a proper roof. I kind of just do these little roofs where they have just kind of like a little lip going all around them, which I really like. It's very modern, but it also still gives like a little bit of detail on the roof. I really like that. I saw that a long time ago in an isometric design, and I just really liked it. So I've kind of been doing that ever since. So if we want to do that with this one, and it will look good, I think, even though it's enormous, and we're not going to go up too many levels, but if you did want to do a couple more levels, it would be basically the same thing. You would use this as your base, bring these up, bring them to the front, and then just do the same thing that you did down here. Okay, we're going to delete that so we can keep this at one level, and then I will do my little my rooftop lip. I'm sure there's a proper term for it, but I don't know it. I'm in design, not architecture. So let's do, and this part always kind of messes me up because a lot of times with building isometric designs, I have to kind of wrap my head around like physically how to do this. Like it just doesn't always make sense. So I usually just start out with building something and then raising it up a little bit to where it would actually be, and then going from there. So I've got, that would be raised up a little bit, and then on the side, I would have the same thing where I would build the side plane out. Press. I'm pressing I so I can get the same color as that pink, because I don't remember which pink it is up here. And we're going front? No, what plane do we need? We'll go top. So that's about where that would go, and then we also need to build around the other sides, so we'll do the other side plane, bring that to about there-ish, and then the front plane again. Where are we at? We need the rectangle tool again, and bring that, nope, that's wrong. See, that needs to be higher. That needs to be right about there, and this needs to be across. And what did I do here? How is this wrong? Shouldn't that, yeah, that doesn't feel right. Okay. What am I, no, I can't always grasp my head around this. Yeah, that feels weird. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. And I just need the right color for that. And we need this one, because it is facing that way, therefore it has a shadow on it. This one would also be the same. It is shadowy, or just bright magenta in this case. So that's our two-dimensional lip. So now we want to add more dimension to it. So we're going to work on the top plane now. And again, we're going to stay in that one. No, we're not going to expand it out of the 2 grid. We're just going to keep it in the 1 little grid there. And yes, that is completely covering that, but I'm using the bottom one as a reference so I know where to go. Now this is going to be the same color as this because it's on the top, but while you're building it, it's very confusing to see it like that. So I'm just going to go a little bit lighter and do the rest of the top. So we'll do it to here, and then another one over. Oh, I missed the point right there. Missed it. There we go. And the last one over here. Okay, so now we have our tops, and now we need to do the other plane to make it fully, I don't know, fully lipped, fully somethinged, fully depthy. Yeah, that's a good word, depthy. Okay. And then we do our side plane as well. And I'm going to have to adjust these in a minute because obviously they have other shapes overlapping them. So I will need to convert to curves and alter the point, the node, I guess. Is it called node? I think it's maybe node in Affinity, and then vector point in Illustrator. I can't remember. I'm on the spot right now. Don't judge me. I can't remember everything all the time. It's too hard. Getting old. Yeah, super old. Anyway, let's bring that in here. And then over here, we're also going to convert to curves and bring it over there. Hooray! That's it. That was it. I know there's a lot of like under pieces that we didn't use. And once you've got really good with like the lippy thing, then you don't need to make those under pieces. But when you're starting out, it really helps get a reference for everything. Now, if you're like me and this little line drives you completely insane, then you can just bring it down so it overlaps. And you don't have to worry about it because it doesn't change anything. It just makes sure that the line isn't there. What I am trying to press hand. There we go. And let's get this one over here. And same thing. So now we don't have that crazy little line. Is anyone else seeing that? Very suspicious. Anywho. So now we have, and I've messed up. How did I mess that up? What happened here? All right, I'll get my grid back on. This got moved. My bad. I did it. Okay. So we've got our, what have we got? We've got the structure, the base, the mirror. No, windows. That's the word. Oh man, mirrors would be another beast entirely. I don't even know how I would do that. Whew, yeah, that'd be tricky. So next, as I mentioned, this is usually once I have kind of a structure, I'll pick the colors or shading, which is another thing you can add to your isometric designs is some nice shading. Now, I didn't actually add any shading in here. I added shadows, but not shading. And when I say shading, I mean gradients. So if I wanted to have like a nice little, well, just a bit more depth and detail, I wanted to add a gradient to this roof, for example. So I click on it, and then I'm going to go into the fill tool, and I'm just going to draw a line and just figure out exactly which way I need to get for the right gradient. I wonder if the top has any. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So when you're doing your gradient, I always forget to do this. When you're doing your gradient, remember to have it on the correct plane selected. Okay. Otherwise it's going to be all weird. So let's get there and about here. So again, this side is my dark side. So I want my dark colors kind of heading that way. Now for the colors, I don't hate that actually. But I think I want this one to be a bit lighter because because the top is going to be a bit lighter, but I want it darker than that other pink up there. So we'll go to about that. So we have just a nice little gentle shade on the top. It's so pretty. I like it. And then we can do the same thing with absolutely every other part of the design. We can select this and let's go into fill. And we can pick a nice green. We're going to keep this green here. And this one is way too neon. I can't handle that one. So let's go into, where were we? We wanted something that's just a little bit darker. So let's press I and select that color and then go back into, hey, fill tool. That didn't work at all. Get that color and then we'll go a bit darker, but only a little bit. Yes. Okay. So we've got some nice gradient shading on the grass and on the roof, and you can do it on everywhere you like. So I just pressed I for eyedropper and I selected the same as the roof. Nope, that didn't do it. Never mind. I was only selecting the individual colors. Well, that's fine. I could also just duplicate this down, or I could just do the same thing and just use the fill color. And this is going to be, that's the dark one right there. All right, so that works. Look at my Barbie Dreamhouse. It's so basic. It has no walls and just a glass window. Isn't it beautiful? So beautiful. Anywho, let's make something else now. So we've got our base, our structure, our colors and shading. Now, this is probably the most important part of any isometric design. And it's also the most time consuming. It's, everything else. Essentially, it's the garnish, the decors, the details, the everything. So that's your plants, your lamps, your little life preservers, your diving board, the towels, your weird slide that isn't really curved. And if you actually went down it, you'd probably just sort of like go wee, ow, and then smack into the wall here and then have to go again and then maybe launch yourself off the roof here. But I am still learning how to make curved anything in isometric illustration styles, and it is really hard. If you watch the video, you saw me do this. Where is it? This horrible little slide. And I tried. I looked at references online and I could not get it. That was my best effort, and it was terrible. So I am still learning how to do a lot of details in isometric illustration, but for now I'm okay with the geometric stuff because it's way easier, so much easier, unless you're dealing with plants. Now plants are not too bad because if you have them in like a little round pot, they pretty much aren't isometric at all. They're kind of just in the scene, but there's no real isometric shape to them. I mean, this would just work wherever, right? That doesn't have to be isometric. It's just a tiny plant, but it works there because it's round. Hooray! Hence the coconut or the palm trees being round as well. Whereas the furniture obviously is more isometric and doesn't have any curved edges because curving is really hard unless you're dealing with a simple table, which obviously is also round, or a rug. The rug is super easy. So what should we do next? The details. What detail to do? We can do the little pillars, little white pillars here. Again, those are actually pretty easy. They are, I'm not sure if they're kind of structural, but also at the same time, they're really not, because they just add a bit of fun detail to the design. And they, I guess they're not holding up your roof, so they're not really structural. So to do the same, to do those little garnishy pillar structure things, I need to learn proper names for things. I'm just going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to bring it over here and make it do like a nice whitish color, same one I used before. And then I'm going to grab the side panel, or select the side panel and do the same. And just as I've been doing before, I'm going to make this side just a little bit darker. So we're going to go nice dark gray and white. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to convert to curve so I can bring that down so it fits. So now it looks like it's just a nice little pillar kind of sitting there holding up the wall. The problem with this is that it's the same width as the actual pillars on the house. So if you notice over here, these are actually quite a bit thinner. So I didn't just use the same grid I used for everything else. I had to add a division. So I doubled that and made it 4 so I could make it a little tinier. So let's get the front side. We'll bring it in, the side plane, and bring it in. And because I converted that to curves, I'm going to bring that up. And that's it. That's all. See? Easy. So easy. Does it match? Mostly. Yeah, that one's got a nice, like a pinky color rather than a gray. But generally, I think that works. Now, the tricky part here is the spacing. So I'm going to select both of those and group them together. And select the top. So basically I want to have it so they are, well, the same. So they have, so all of these, so these little white pillars take up the entire space here, but that they're all evenly spaced. And when you're dealing with 1 or 2, it's a lot easier, but I made this a bit trickier on myself, and I'm added like 1,000. So we're just going to select them and try to get the same amount of spacing in between all of them. And I might not succeed. And if that happens, then we'll just do it all again, as per usual. And let's see if we can make these. I think I've already messed up the spacing. Yeah, I already messed up the spacing. Oh no. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. So I'm actually looking at they're not even on the lines, so that'll do it. Okay, so if you notice, I have 1, 2, 1, 2. So I've got 2 little squares of spacing in between each. So as long as I keep that consistent, we should be okay, unless we have the wrong number of squares in here. And then, well, of course I do. Of course. So there isn't a 2 in here. Boo. So in that case, I would just need to delete one and then completely reevaluate the spacing. Actually, I can just delete all that by Control-Zing it. So then I would just make the spacing slightly different, maybe 3 and 3. But it depends on the look you're going for. Essentially, this is how you do it though. You just kind of keep going until you get your spacing right and hope it all works out for the best. Hooray! Did we get it? That looks weird. I messed up somewhere. Again. I think it was here. How do we do? 3, 3, 3, 3, 4. Okay, well, if I had mathed that properly, then we would be good. Really, all I needed to do was basically do some math. But you know what? I went into graphic design specifically so that I never, ever had to do math. I'm not joking. That's specifically why I went into graphic design. Like, first choice was business school. And then I was like, oh no, I have to do math. I'm going to go to art school. Yeah, so we're going to avoid doing math. Or we could just be like, hey, it works up into this point. So let's just delete those guys and just put an extra pillar here. And we'll give it a room of 3. 1, 2, 3 in between. Bring these up. 1, 2, 3. See? Now it's even. And now we have this grand doorway where you've just got this weird pillar there. But we can take away a pillar and now it's a grand doorway. Look at that. Why does that look like Magneto's helmet? So next up, we've got more detail-y things. What should we do next? We could do the rug, which is, the rug is the easiest thing you could ever possibly do in isometric anything. It's a circle. Nay, it's an oval. So let's draw an oval. Let's put a giant rug on this floor. So I've got my ellipse tool. I'm on the top plane. I'm going to select what color rug? An orange rug. And I'm going to draw it right here. Make it fit in the grid or don't. It does not matter. It is a rug. As long as it fits your space, you're good. Just like in real life. And then shimmy it on to where you want it in here. Let's have it about there. Yeah, we got 3 and 2. Well, that'll work. Maybe 2-ish. We can have it right there. Again, it does not matter because this is... Well, it doesn't really matter where the rug is going. It's not going to play into any of the structural anything. So I'm going to bring it down so we actually get it inside the house and not on the roof. Did we get it? Yeah. Nope. I went one too far. So it's going to show through the glass because it is there and the glass is see-through, but it is there. And if we want to, we can add some more fanciness to this rug by adding another element onto it. Like so. Do. How's that? Is that about right? Yes, but it looks weird. It looks weird because it needs to be pink, probably. We're referencing the Barbie Dreamhouse. Like, obviously it needs to be pink. But not too pink. Okay, let's go like that. And then I'll group those together and then I'll bring that back in. And we have our awesome rug. Hooray! Okay, so that actually looks like an indoor swimming pool, but it's not. It's a rug. Although if it were an indoor swimming pool, this wouldn't really be a Barbie Dreamhouse. It would just be a pool house, I guess. Which is actually pretty cool anyway. Why don't we make that orange? Yellow. Green? Yeah, okay, now it's an egg rug. We'll go with the egg rug. That's fine. So what's our next element? This is just fair warning. This is going to look like garbage compared to this. Okay? So just so you know. Just so you know, this is to show you how to do the individual elements to make this. But yeah, is this gonna look like garbage? Pure garbage. Just like this little collection of items. Garbage. Let's do the pool. So we are going to select the rectangle and the top, and we're gonna make the pool here. And it's gonna be right on the edge of the grass. And you know what color it's gonna be? It's gonna be blue, because that makes sense. That's a very greeny blue. How about a blue? This blue? Did all my colors get moved? All my colors look like they shimmied one to the side. What did I do? How did... All right. Well, I've done something and I don't know how to undo it. So we're just gonna, I guess, go with it. Ugh. Ooh, I messed up. Okay. So we've got a pool blue. That's a decently cool color, I guess. And I'm not going to do a round pool. Again, I've mentioned that we want to keep things simple, and the curvy round things are difficult to do in isometric illustration. Not impossible, absolutely not impossible, just difficult if you're new to it. So we want to focus on kind of building the fundamentals of getting, the really geometric shapes first before we get into the fancy stuff. So I'm going to bring my divisions back down to 2 because we don't need to get detail that was this fine until we do probably this. Why does that keep opening? I'm pressing spacebar. Oh, my program's just straight broken, isn't it? How did it break? No, it's fine now. That was weird. All right, so we've got our pool. Now, how deep do we want our pool to be? Well, we can make it super deep. Let's go front and then a slightly darker color and go crazy like that. Bring it to here. Doesn't even match. Let's go click that color and just get a little bit darker. And then we're going to convert to curves and bring out our node anchor point, or anchor point / node. This is actually quite a deep pool. Ooh, it's a little scary. And we'll bring that out. This one's going to be a lighter color. Well, it's not going to be the actual, we'll keep that one the same. This main one will be the lightest color. Yeah, like that. Perfect. And we'll go convert to curves and bring it out again. Okay, so that is the most basic pool. You can basically, I use the word basic too many times. That is the most basic pool design you can make in isometric illustration. It's again, yeah, it's very simple and easy to do. If you want to go a little bit more interesting, you can, you can make it less deep because we only have a base of 1. So having that high doesn't even make a little bit of sense. So if we bring our grid back, we could either make this taller to make it, make sense with the depth, or we could just bring this back up and have it only a depth of 2, which would fit with everything else. We could bring that up to 2 and then bring that over here, and then same with here. We're gonna make it like a very shallow pool just so it's a bit safer for the Barbies. In case we take away the ladder to get into the pool. And yeah, I mean, that happens occasionally, right? That happens to Barbies and Sims. It happens to everyone. And the ladder gets removed and then they drown in the pool. Yeah. Not on purpose, of course. Anyway, so we've got our pool. And next we can add some details to the pool. So because it's water, you can kind of add some water details. You can add some foam into it. With mine up here, hey, let me get it. I saw someone online had done an isometric pool with grid lines, which I really liked, especially, for the obvious reason is that those are the same grid lines that I'm actually using for my isometric grid. So it made sense. So we can do some sweet little grid lines in here. That pool looks way better. I think the coloring, I've got shadows in there and the coloring is just a bit better. But again, we're not going to spend hopefully that much time on that design. That took me, I think, 4.5 hours to do the whole thing. And then I sped it up for the speed art by, 450 or 500 or 550%, by a lot anyway. It was a quite a long video, and I honestly don't think anyone's going to sit around for like 5 hours watching me design an isometric Dreamhouse, hence the speed design. So that's why we did that, and that's why we're doing this, which hopefully is enough to understand kind of my process and how I put it all together. So what were we doing? We've got the pool, and now we want the grid lines. I need to say that fancier. The grid lines. Beautiful. Divisions 1. And let's go into the top. So we are going to make our grid lines on the top, but we're not going to have them on the sides here because it would just be grid lines on the bottom of the pool. So this is pretty simple. We're going to grab our pen tool and get, let's see what color we want. Let's get something a bit lighter. Press close, and then just do very simple grid lines. We lost our color. That needs to be stroke. There we go. How does that look? We can't tell because our grid's on. How does it look now? Yeah, I forgot to, yeah. Where is our stroke? Our stroke is here and it is very tiny. It's really tiny. Why can't we see it? Nope, still not seeing anything. Let's bring to front. Am I going crazy? Oh, right. Okay, so I'm a little crazy, but mostly we have the wrong thingy on. So I want to go back into stroke. And it's because when I did my trees up in the Barbie Dreamhouse, I changed the pressure. So we're going to reset the pressure, and I can show you that later when I do the tree detailing. But basically, and it's really, really awesome, and I love that they have this, is that you can create a stroke and then give it different, like you can make it taper at either end, which is so helpful, especially when you're doing anything with with foliage, with trees and stuff that want those little leaf lines. It really, really helps. So let's make this, should we do 1.5 maybe? And now that we have our proper pressure back, but we can also make it a bit lighter so it shows up better. There we go. Okay, now it's showing up. So we're going to make our grid lines all the way across. Collect all of those together and bring them here. And now I'm going to group all of those lines together like so, but not with these ones, just the lines. Nope. We don't want the pool, just the lines. Okay, cool. Now let's see how that looks. Yeah, that works. I mean, you could leave it like that too if you have like a pool where you just do laps. That works. But I don't. I have a different pool in my Barbie Dreamhouse. I have a pool with a grid. So let's see. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, with the same top selected. We're just, whoops, we're just doing lines. So I'm just going to duplicate this one over here and duplicate over here and more duplicates. Oh, it's so, I can't even tell where the lines are going. This is like my eyes are starting to hurt from this. And these lines they are not aligned. Okay, nope, I've lost it. I can't see where they are. I made these way too lightly colored. Now I can't see where they're going. Let's get over here. And then the last one is these ones. And I have an extra line here I don't need. And we'll move these ones up. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our pool lines. That works. And let's select all of that again without the actual pool, just the lines. Oh, we didn't get these lines. We want these lines too. There we go. Okay, so we got all those lines. We're going to group them all together and then promptly lose everything. That didn't make sense. Oh, because we have a pillar here. We don't want the pillar. We want just the lines and then group them. There we go. So from here, we can make them whatever color we want, and it's a little bit easier. But I mean, that's grouping. That's why we group things. So we can change them, we can drag them, we can do whatever we want. So one thing I didn't do over here is have the pool butted right up against the edge of my little yard here. So I can either move the yard out a bit and have this follow, or I can actually make it look like the pool is coming right off the edge. So we'll give it like a little infinity pool kind of look. Although I think I need my grid back because I am lost without my grid. Let's bring that over here, and we'll make it this color. Oh no, we're on stroke again. We don't want the stroke. We want it on fill. It gave me a stroke anyway. How dare you? There we go. Now let's go back to modify grid, unshow the grid. There's probably a keyboard shortcut for that I haven't learned yet, and I just haven't learned it yet. Let's go to, no, let's just make it a little bit. We'll go to about, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, the pool lines would show through that. Yeah, that actually looks bad. I regret everything. Let's go back. Let's just extend the yard. Because I'll have to extend the grid lines out and then make that transparent. Yeah. I'm trying to keep this simple and I keep overcomplicating things. So let's just bring this out and bring that out too. Okay. Yeah, that's way easier. Now we just have a simple pool that doesn't have anything crazy, right? Nothing crazy in the pool. Ta-da! That keeps opening. Oh my god. Okay, so our Barbie Dreamhouse definitely looks like someone's garage where they're just gonna have like a car in here and yell at their kids about not touching it. That's what it looks like. Also, the grass is really green and kind of clashing with the pink. I think I did the colors a bit better over here. Anyway, so we've got some basics, some basics. So that's kind of the basic structural stuff. We've got our colors, we've got a little bit of shading. We could obviously do a bit more. We've got the pool. We haven't added any of the little pool elements. We haven't done the diving board or the little life preservers. So we could do those because they are pretty simple actually. The life preservers is, well, it's, oh boy. It is making a donut and pressing the convert to donut button, which I think every program and oven, I mean, if my oven could have a convert to donut button, I would really appreciate that. Like, hey, I need to make some cookies, but I'm kind of craving a donut. Can we just convert these cookies to a donut? Can we do that? Or like convert a lasagna to a donut or literally anything. I'm reheating these noodles. How about we convert to a donut? See, that would make the world a much better place. Unfortunately, only Affinity has convert to donut, so we'll deal with our donut. And we will change the whole radius to about that. And we will make it pink because Barbie. That's purple. Barbie, pink. And now obviously it doesn't have any depth, but we're not going to make it, well, we're not going to give it a front and a side because it's round and we can't really make that not round. If we're going to have a life preserver, we kind of just have to deal with the fact that it is a donut shape and just go with it. So the easiest thing to do is duplicate that. I'm pressing Alt Shift, bringing it down, giving it a bottom like so, making that go underneath it and then zooming in as much as physically possible. And then I wonder if I need my grid lines back. Basically, I'm just going to be making a little box here and a little box on the side, like so, giving it a fill of that color, selecting that, the bottom, and that again, and we're going to add them together. And then we have this little piece of donut-y goodness. Let's give it a blue bottom. No, it's going to be in a pool. That doesn't make sense. Orange bottom. Yeah. So obviously I could add some more shading and stuff to it. I could do a radial gradient inside, but I don't want to do that. And I didn't actually do that up here. It was very basic. So we're going to keep the, let's make the bottom pinkish, like a nice pinky pink. I think we're going for more reddy pinks in this design than, I guess, purpley pinks. Orangey pinks? I don't know. Let's just go with a light color. There we go. Close that and then group it together and then stick it on the pool, you know, when it's on top of everything. Easy peasy. I wonder if I've said that before. Easy peasy. I don't want to say it too often. So then we're going to just bring that over here and I'm going to ungroup everything because I forgot to grab its shadow. I'm going to grab its shadow and make it gray, you know, as shadows are. Bring it down here, make it pale, like 30%, and just stick it kind of wherever. So now our little light preserver has a tiny little shadow. See? Not too bad, and it totally looks like it's floating because it has its shadow, and that's the pool. Now, I'm not going to do stairs into the pool because I'm going to show you how to do stairs with the entrance, their weird entrance here. Only one set of stairs though, because I know this is weird, the weird Magneto helmet entrance way, but I don't think we need to go too crazy with that. So let's get our grid back on and we're going to divide it by 2 again. and close. And now let's make some stairs. So we're going to give it crazy colors just while we do it. So stairs that go here and unselect that, and some stairs that go out, which are hidden underneath everything. Why were they hidden underneath that? That doesn't seem fair. And then let's grab that and bring it down. And we don't actually need this bottom step because we're on the ground already. So that doesn't make any sense. So now we'll make sure our colors match. Here we go. That didn't match. And then we're just going to give it a side. And obviously our side already has a color. It is this nice magenta. And to avoid the lines, I'm just going to overlap it. Let's get it up here. So rather than having it here, I'm going to have it over here because it doesn't change anything. And I'm not actually sure if that the lines show up in its final form. It just drives me nuts while I'm building it. There. Some very, very simple stairs. And that's what you can do for all over. You can do that into your pool. And it just really involves dividing your grid. I mean, you can have larger stairs as well, but well, I think you want to divide it because stairs are usually a bit smaller. Otherwise, you're just going to have like a single step. And I mean, this is only, well, this whole thing is only one high, so you need to divide it anyway, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. So we have our stairs. Should I be doing this live so people can be like, hey, what are you talking about? None of this makes sense. No, probably not, because then I'll get sad and I'll never want to do it again. So this is slightly easier, I think. So what's next? Oh my gosh, there's so many elements. So many things. Should we do a tree? Yeah, I think we'll do a tree. Okay, so which tree? You like the little tree or you like the big palm trees? I like the little tree a lot more because I put more effort into it, and that's usually how that works. More effort, it's going to get better results. So palm tree, little tree. Well, I mean, they both are pretty similar in how you make them. So let's bring them over here so I have reference of what I actually did. I'll tell you exactly what I did. I Googled isometric trees and found some that I liked the look of, and then I tried to recreate them on the grid. That's it. Yeah, that was it. And then once they're made, I can make them bigger without, messing up the design, because as I mentioned before, they do not conform to the grid. They just kind of sit there and look good. Like me. All right, so let's do this little one. So this one is actually made very similar to how I did the little life preserver. So we are actually editing out of plane here. We are gonna make a circle. Dude, actually, what am I talking about? That's in plane. Yeah, I think you can do it both ways, but I need a circle, not a square. We'll do it like that and fit in this little grid here. And then we will bring another little one down here, and then you just hook them up together. So we'll do that. This will be our little lid thing. And then we're gonna get the pen tool and draw. So we get our shape, and then we'll make that a fill color. And we have our little shape that definitely looks like a paint bucket, which is good. That's what we're going for. Let's change this color and make it that little gray color. And this is going to be a brown color. We'll use that brown color, and we'll make it just a tiny bit smaller so it fits in there nicely. Again, we basically just have a paint bucket. Yeah. Okay, paint bucket. Yeah, okay. So that's the basic little pot shape that we have. And then we do the leaves. Now the leaves are a bit easier. And now you're kind of out of doing anything in isometric style right now because, well, obviously these leaves aren't conformed to any specific plane. They are just being drawn, and being drawn with the pencil or the pen. So I tend to use the pen because I like it when everything matches up, and I like getting my little spiky points here. But we don't have to use the isometric grid because we're dealing with more organic shapes. When you want the more organic shapes, you kind of just freehand draw things. And these are easy. It's like, imagine you're drawing like little things of fire. So just draw a little fire and then make it green. So little bits of fire. Whee! Give it a little point at the top. And this isn't too hard to do if you are at all familiar with the pen tool. And then we just make that green. And we have our really, really weird leaf. Do that a couple more times. I will just sort of show you like that. Do that a couple more times. And then you've got your plant. If you want to add the little shapes on the inside, that's basically going to be the same thing. So I'll just draw a little more leafiness inside. Yes, leafiness on the inside. Bring that down, connect it up here, and then make it the same color but darker. Oh, I messed up the inside there. Totally messed that up. Ugh, that looks awful. Oh, I am so sorry. But if we zoom out really far, it's totally fine. So it's fine, guys. It's totally fine. So we will maybe just take these over here for now. And nope, I pressed the wrong thing. We want to duplicate that. And then we'll create our little division. Take that out and put it back. And it should fit in nicely, although I did mess up the colors here. See, it fits perfectly there. And then we can stick it here. We can do another one here and another one here. And you can have, this is why you generally draw more than one shape, because you get a little bit more diversity in the shapes, which is always a little bit better. So we can transform and flip vertical. So we have these, which are slightly different now. And then that one, which is the, yeah, maybe we'll just tilt that one and we'll tilt this one. Yep, now those look like completely different leaves. Yep. So with this one, I did add a few more raggedy edges, rigid edges with the pen tool. So it was more like this rather than that, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm just going to delete that. And with those sort of rigid edges, you get more kind of an organic shape. So I think this looks pretty organic and good, whereas this kind of looks a bit garbagey, but I think you get the idea of what we're trying to do here. So, but you might want the straighter lines anyway. So it's up to you on what you're trying to do. Let's get that back in its little pot. There we go. Here's our terrible, adorable little plant. Let's bring that down here. I love how I can't like recreate the original. This looks so much worse, but I am trying to do it a lot quicker than I did the first time. So we've got our little plant and we can put it wherever we like. We can put it here where it completely blends in with the roof. Let's take off the grid. Nope, it completely blends in with the roof. Okay, let's make it slightly darker and whiter. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so I can see it a bit better. So we'll do a nice little plant area where we'll have that one, and then we'll have a much larger. Nope, I still press shift. I'm still trying to get used to which programs want you to press shift and which don't. It's annoying. And we'll make this one teeny tiny little plant. So we have a nice little plant friendship thing going on here. And then we'll back up and we will put it everywhere where it looks good. Lots of plants. Lots and lots of plants all over the place. But this one will make it a bit different and we won't have the tiny one. We'll just have the big one. Yeah. Lovely. Okay, so we've got some plants. And we've got some basic stuff. Now, one of the reasons this looks so basic is because we just have one very large flat roof with nothing on it. Obviously, over here we had a very tiny little flat roof, whereas all the interesting stuff was all, underneath it and everywhere else. So this isn't going to be quite as fun. Should we do the palm tree? Oh boy, should we do the palm tree? Well, I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's this. Whoop. I need this. Basically, yeah, it's exactly the same thing. So we'll take this palm tree. We'll ungroup all of this. Oops, not that one. Get that one, get that one. And yeah, we will just do the same thing. We'll make this a nice brown color. Bring it over here. Make it nice and tall. This is just easier than recreating it all over again. And make it one piece. Now we have a hot dog. And then from there, we can just make the leaves coming out of it. Now we can do a circle at the top as well. That can be this nice green color. That doesn't quite fit exactly, but I think you get the idea. And then we just basically hand draw these leaves coming out of it. So I'll do one. So it's gonna look like a really sad little palm tree. So we do, using our pen tool, just make some nice curves and then click it. And we wanna get that nice sharp edge right here. Click it again, do a little indent, and then go back over here with a slightly thicker line, like so. And then loop it back. Nope, it didn't loop back properly. Click it and then loop back. Okay, so we have our nice little leaf here. I can put that right here. I think I made the taper on this a bit nicer. What is that? It looks like a bird's beak. What did I do? That looks terrible. Try that. Yeah, okay, that's a bit better. And make it be like that. Okay. So basically just do that multiple times all around your palm tree. Don't always just, don't do what I'm doing basically. You want to actually have a couple different shapes that you've redrawn. Otherwise it's going to look like this, and it's just going to look like you've, copy and pasted everything from your original drawing. So don't do that. Let's keep doing that though. Oh, I like that because I'm still in edit in plane. So when I actually move it, it still edits it, or it still, it moves it in the plane, which is fun. Actually, let's move it in the plane again. I like that. We're going to transform and flip and put that over here. Oh, this is the weirdest little palm tree. And we're going to, nope, I can't do it. Edit in plane. Yeah, okay, that's honestly not too bad. And then we'll do it again over here. And I probably should have just done one side and then completely copied it onto the other side for extreme symmetry. But I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I'm just improvising. So this is a weird palm tree. It's very weird. But it does give us what we need, which is some delightful foliage for our Barbie Dreamhouse. Sort of. I mean, here we have some spaces between the trees, which makes way more sense. Ugh, let's just get rid of that. Okay, so we have this very simple, weird little palm tree design. And yeah, you want to make it so the little palms are a little bit more separated and look a bit better. So we are going to make the ones in the back a little bit darker because that will help a little bit. And next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the little taper thing. So on these trees, I have a little tapered stroke here. And that's what we're going to do over here. So we're going to take the pen tool, and to get our little leaf thing going on, we're just going to draw our little line here. Going to decide what color we want the stroke to be, which is going to be some random shade of green, but not that one because that doesn't fit at all. Let's do that, or should we go light? No, we should go a little bit darker. Okay, so that, and we're going to make the width, I don't know, 0.5 maybe, whatever fits with this one. How does that look? 0.5, yes. So you'll notice that the stroke kind of sucks here and there, and it looks dumb. So we're going to go and do pressure, and we're going to, this represents the start and the end of this line. So we're going to bring that down here, and we're going to bring that down here, and now we have no pressure basically anywhere on the line. But if we bring this, we add an anchor point there, and we add another anchor point here. Then the majority of our line is at this top thickness, I guess. So this is, everything up here is thick, everything down here is thin. So we got our nice little tapered line, and it's so beautiful. Look at that. Look at that little tapered line. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you can modify the line, and it still has the same pressure applied. So you can bring it down to here, and it still has that lovely taper on. So just do that for all your little leaves here. So you have just a little bit of plantiness, some realistic plantiness to it. And we can even make it a larger stroke and has the same effects. So we can do it like, we'll do like a 0.9 and has the same thing. So that's our weird little palm tree, which I am going to stick right here. Except I did miss how to do the little rings, didn't I? Yeah. Well, those were actually pretty simple. I just went like this. I ungrouped that and I went like that. So I have two here and one is right over top of the other, but not perfectly. I just have a tiny little space in between here and I select them both and oops, and I go, what did I press? I pressed subtract. I zoom out and we just have this nice little ring that I'm gonna make a little bit lighter and just kind of just place wherever I want on this tree. Ta-da! Zoom out and out and duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. Oh, and I zoomed instead of duplicated. Whoa, what did I just do? Okay, can I duplicate again? Nope, nope, I'm out of my sequence. And we'll do that and that. And to make sure they are all nice and even, I'm going to go up in here and go, what do I want? Is this space vertically? Yeah, perfect. So now they're all spaced nice and vertically. And I probably put too many in. So why don't we get rid of a couple of these? And then try that again. And space vertically. There we go. Yep, that'll do. So that is our kind of weird little palm tree that we have done. And put it wherever you like. And then you can make it as big as you want. That's way too big. I think if you're going to go bigger, you do need to have some of those details in there, which we just did not do. Way more details in here. So obviously this one has a few more details and a few more different little leaves and stuff, but it's not ultra detailed. Like I didn't add any shading to the tree trunk or anything or the leaves, so I don't want to have it too big. So I think that'll kind of do for now. All right, so what we could do next is the dreaded slide or the well, the sofa. The sofa is actually not too hard. I don't know why I'm dreading that. The sofa really wasn't too bad. So we're going to go to show grid and we're going to make a little sofa, an adorable little sofa. So let's get our grid back on. So we're going to do a little square without the green stroke because that's really weird. We're going to give it a nice light pink color. And then we will give it a side and a front and I think maybe go to there. We're gonna actually do 2 divisions in the grid and we'll bring it back up to here and then up to here. I need to make some color differentiation right now before I completely lose what we're doing and all shape of it. Okay, so a little bit darker there. And then we need to bring that one up a little bit more as well. Okay, so far I'm making a chair rather than a sofa, but we can make a whole bunch of different things. Okay, so we have basically a fancy dining chair now. We could give it legs instead by doing like something like that and like that. And we want the side like that. Oh, perfect. We have a weird little fancy dining chair. Because that was totally my intention. I'm not sure how we can do the front legs. We'll just leave it like that. Okay, so that is how you would make a very basic chair. But our sofa is very, very similar to that, but it has the 2 little sides, and it doesn't actually have any legs. Okay, come on, sofa. Let's drag the sofa over here and use it as a reference, because I honestly don't remember how I created it anymore. Okay, so yeah, I went down instead of going up. So we make our base, our sofa base, which is 3 by 2, 1, 2, 3 by 2. We zoom in a bit more to find out that we've messed up with the grid. And why did I mess up the grid? My grid's on. Why is it doing this? Oh, it's not, and I'm going crazy. Okay, that's fun. It just looked like it was not on the grid. That's not annoying at all. All right. So then we're going to give it a back. I mean a front. We're going to give it a back by putting something on the front plane. That's so confusing. Okay. And then we're going to give that a darker color. Actually, we'll make that this color. And then we'll bring up our two sides like so. We'll make that this color. And this one will go over here. So now we have a very, very basic two-dimensional couch. But we want, or I should say, it's more of like a love seat, I guess, or a, well, it's like a single person little sofa. So we're gonna make it we're gonna give it 4 divisions so we can get those details in there. And to do that, we want to do some details on the front. So we want to go down like that, and then bring that over here, and then bring that here. And then we're gonna do the same with the top planes. My voice went really high there. The top planes. Oops, I'm in the wrong plane. Top plane, thank you. And then we're gonna go bring that over here. Oh man, my throat's getting really sore. I've been talking for way too long. Okay, so now we have a little couch. I mean, yeah, that's not too hard. Again, it's just lots of using the planes properly and trying to gauge what you want your couch to actually look like. And I think at this point you could probably make some curves on the edges here, but that's going to get complicated and weird. And we forgot an edge on here as well. We need to do this underneath. There we go. Okay, now it looks proper. That's a real chair and a real sofa. Hooray. Now we can put our real chair and our real sofa somewhere. Well, we do need them to be on top of things, not underneath everything, because that's going to be weird. We can put them on the rooftop because that's fun. We can put them in this room. Yep, that looks totally legit. And obviously, if you want to create a real scene, you would be creating the sofa on multiple angles. But you can't just, you have to recreate. You can't just move it around, unfortunately, which is very sad, actually. You can't just go like, and now it's facing the other way, because that's not how that works. But you can make a really cool double-decker couch if you wanted to. Double-decker, but we're not going to do that. This is not the Lego movie. We're just going to put it right here. Okay, so we've got some couches. We have a weird little chair here that Barbie is just going to like sit on and dictate to her minions and whatnot. And what do we need next? Let's get rid of the grid because it always looks so much nicer without the grid. Whoops. Why does that keep popping up? Let me press spacebar. Oh my god. That's really annoying. I think it just keeps going into... yeah, that's very annoying. Okay. Gonna try to keep that from happening. So the last thing... Is it the last thing? Not the last thing. The last kind of element that I wanted to show you guys how to make was the dreaded slide. And I do mean not this one. This one over here. Which is annoying because it's on angles. Now I could also show you the chimney and what else? Well, the table, honestly, the table is made up of, maybe this might be easier. I'll just ungroup that, and so you can see it's one circle on top of another circle, on top of this shape, on top of another circle, on top of another circle. And when you put all those together, it looks like a proper isometric table. Ta-da! All right, that was pretty easy. That's all I'm going to do for the table. And now for the chimney, a breakdown of this is also pretty simple. So the top has the same lip, but it's a little bit thicker, as you'll see. Let's ungroup that. I said ungroup. Yep, same little lippy top thing. When I did this, I basically just added the side plane and the front plane, and then added some more little shapes, and then created some different colors for some detail. I added another little shape on here, another shape here, and then this for where Barbie would inevitably have fires, although obviously it's not safe to make fires in Barbie's house because children are fire hazards. Yeah. No. I did have a chimney in my Barbie house, though. I didn't have a Barbie Dreamhouse. My dad made me one. It was awesome. It was like as tall as me. It was very cool and had a really cool little fireplace. It was very cool. All right, what were we doing next? We could do the bed, but I will show you how the bed is made instead. Because I think after you've pretty much done all the structural stuff and figured out, how to kind of do the isometric stuff, the bed is very, very easy. It is just a top, a side, a front, some extra little rectangles there for the pillows, and then just a much smaller shapes on the side that I used the 8 division grid for. I should probably show you the grid. That would help. Where'd my grid go? Did I not just turn it on? Oh, right. It's down here. Anyway, as you can see, there's a lot of detail in that. And that's how I used, or how I made the little bed with a lot of details. So let's go back to 1 division. And yeah. So then I'll show you the lamps. So the lamps are made very, very easily. So they are just, they have this oval on top, and the oval is using a radial gradient. If you'll notice, there's a little, it's like white and like a purpley color. How did I actually do that? I can never remember how I get to radial gradient. I always manage to do it, but I can never actually remember how I did it. Was it in here? Where was it? Oh man. Every single time. I can do it no problem in Illustrator, but as soon as I get to Affinity, I'm like, how do I do this? Okay, so I clicked on fill. There we go. And I went into radial and made like a little, no, I had a linear one on. Oh. Well, radial would have been better, wouldn't it? Yeah, okay. So when you're doing something round and need shading, do a radial gradient, not linear. I mean, it works either way, but I think the radial is probably just a little bit better. So that is a little oval with a radial gradient that I am unable to select because all of this is still grouped. No, it's fine. Okay. So let's try that again. Little bulb on the top. And then at the bottom, we basically just made lipstick. It's the same as what we were doing with the life preserver and everything else, the like the palm trees. So it's a little circle on top of a square and a circle. And again, a rectangle, not a square, and a circle. So pretty straightforward. So now that we've figured out the lipstick light thing here, I'm just gonna Control Z to bring that all back in togetherness. Now, what should we do? We can do, well, I can show you how to do these. Again, these are very, very, very simple. Basically, I just wanted to add a little bit of detail to the grass and to this pink concrete. So I just went onto the top plane and I went into my rounded rectangle tool and just drew right on the grid a little square. And I did it without a gradient. And that was it. So very, very simple. And if I wanted to make it bigger, I just made it bigger or longer or yeah, pretty straightforward that way. So I think that is probably the easiest thing to do. And I think that adding in those little details onto like grass outside and little concrete details really kind of helps a lot. Now, if I had had more time on this design overall, I would have added some more details really any details onto the actual, onto the roofs. I could have added some floorboard details onto the inside. We're basically just assuming all of this is concrete, like pink concrete. But even concrete has some tiny details. Now, I wouldn't necessarily add cracks because this is Barbie's dream house, not a shack. So we kind of want, a certain level of perfection. But you could still add some little tiny bits of texture onto concrete. And that would just make the whole illustration just look a little bit more realistic and interesting. And that could go for the pool. You could add some little water lines, a little foam. You could add some fraying at the end of the towels. You could add some more, you could make these a little bit more wooden looking. The little fireplace mantelpiece here. And, you could actually curve the slide so it wasn't a safety hazard. But this whole thing is a safety hazard. How do you get upstairs? How do you do it? You hover because Barbie can hover, but I mean, what are you doing? Climbing up the fireplace, and then you have to walk up here and just go down? Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, but it's her dream house. It's what Barbie always wanted, so we're just gonna let Barbie have her dream. And next we are going to make the slide. Okay. Rather than make the slide, because I'm not sure if you noticed in the actual speed design of this, but the slide drove me insane. It really did. And all these little lines drive me insane too. All these little bits. So I'm going to show you how I did this all together. Now, creating diagonal lines in isometric illustrations are tricky when you're not really sure how to work with them. But once you've kind of figured it out and make sure that everything looks logical, then it makes a bit more sense. So for this, basically we've got this main piece here, which is just on an angle. As you can see, this one is just perfectly flush with the top. It's basically just a normal top piece. And this one, again, just goes down here. And to make sure all this fits, the best thing to do is actually draw in all your different pieces and make sure the whole thing works together. So you can draw, making sure it actually fits with the grid completely. So if that wasn't, if none of that was there, you want to make sure that it actually fits. And so it would actually be perfectly flush to the floor, because obviously if it comes up here, then that's going to look weird, or if it came to about here, that would be weird. So you just want to have the end of your slide consistent with where the start is. You want to have it consistent with everything, and you can do that with the other side as well. Same up here, go have it to here, and then have it down to wherever it would be down here, and just make sure it looks normal. But I would probably design that first before I did the rest, and I would model make that so it actually worked in the grid. So it would be about that, and everything else would be over top. But once you've got an idea that that's going to work, you can figure it out. Now I should probably have the grid under this to really show you. So why don't we bring this whole thing? Now it's not grouped. I ungrouped all of this. So let's try. Oh no. No, that's going to go badly. Let's see if we can just grab just the slide. Oh yeah, no, we're not going to be able to grab just the slide. We're going to have to grab all of it. So let's try to grab all of it. We'll grab this part, which as you can see is just that. It's just lines, not lines. It's just shapes that go to a certain point. So we can have it. This would be using the top plane. Okay, very, very basic. And all I did was grabbed the two anchor points and dropped them down, so we have something that appears to be a bit more diagonal and on a bit of a slant. Yeah, that's right. And then I gave it all walls, basically doing the same thing, the same way I did the lips, it seems so weird, the roof lip, the lippy bit on the roof. I just did the same thing with the slide, because having a slide that was just like this, honestly, it felt more dangerous than anything. So I wanted to give a bit of a lip there. So I gave it some sides. Now you want to have the lower side to give it actual structure, as well as the lower, the part that keeps you from not falling off the slide, in addition to the part that makes the slide actually looks like it's not a two-dimensional object. So I don't have my grid over here, so I'm just kind of building from nonsense. But I'm hoping you get the idea. So again, the pieces are just the same. They are just basically the same pieces on a different plane that follow the same direction as the diagonal pieces. And again, this piece here, this was identical to the lip up here. Same thing you're doing, just giving it a proper side and a proper top here. And this up here is the same as the other one. Wow, this looks terrible. I'm just totally dismantling it. But I'm trying to just show you guys how it's done. I was going to bring it over to the grid, but there's so many pieces, and I don't want to have to replace everything, because it's going to be a bit tricky. I wonder if I can grab it from this one. I think this one, everything's a bit more grouped. Nope, I was wrong. Nothing's grouped. Whoops. Okay. Well, hopefully you can kind of see what I did with the slide if you want. And please just maybe let me know in the comments if you want like a more detailed how-to on how to make isometric slides and maybe stairs. So means of getting up and down in various structures. I can do that. I will show you how to make this slide and these stairs, and I will not show you how to make this slide because it's terrible and I hate it and it just should not exist. It's so bad. So bad. Oh man. Ugh. Or maybe if you want me to, I can actually figure out how to do proper curved slides, and then I'll make a how-to on it. But I have to figure out how to physically do it first because it's tricky. It's tricky. Okay, so the last thing outside of the towels, which I don't really know if you need to be shown how to make the towels, because towels these are just two-dimensional shapes. It's it's a rectangle with 3 narrow rectangles over top. So, I mean, the biggest thing about making the towels is kind of keep the size consistent. So imagine however big your Barbie is in this house, and like, would the towel fit her? So, I mean, that's really all you got to worry about for the towels. Now the hedges are one of the coolest things I think about this. And this is the first time I've done hedges like this. And I really liked how they turned out. They just look really cool. So with the hedges, I actually started out and I just built these green little shapes. So let's bring that over to my grid like so. And now I just built them obviously right to the grid. So I've got my green top, my green side, and my green front. And this was essentially my guide. So you could actually do your hedges exactly like this and then just kind of build them out like that if you want. But I felt like it doesn't look real. This doesn't look like an organic shape. It looks just a little too perfect. And I think even in a real pretend Barbie house, you would have a little bit of, like, it would look a bit more floral than this. So that's why let's maybe just Control Z out of this. I just need one. I don't need you. Just the one. I just need this one. So I used this as a guide and I just kind of made it a bit more bushier with a whole bunch of different anchor points to get like a really natural kind of shape. And then I make sure that's the same shape as that. And I mean, doesn't look great, but once it's all together, and you can use the pencil tool or the pen tool here. And you can just kind of draw around it just to get the general shape. I mean, either tool works. I'm maybe being a bit fast. I should maybe keep it a bit bushier. Like, I know you can't see the line I'm actually making because I don't have anything on my stroke right now. There's no color on there. But I assure you, I'm drawing. And then we'll click that. So yeah, that actually kind of worked. So that's how we got our little, our bushy shrubbery. And then we can just take that over here by itself so you can compare with the very geometric one. And then we just did a little bit of some details in here for some little flowery things. And to do the little flowery things, I went first to the side, and then I went in here to the cloud tool to make some delightful, weird little cloudy flower things. And just kind of alt click and make them all over here, just so the bush hedge thingy has a little bit of just some details on here to make it look a little bit better. And we'll do the same thing on the top, like so. Make that a bit maybe lighter. No, maybe a bit darker. And you want to have, what happened to my color? Oh, it's there. Oh, it's very, very light though. You want to have just a variety of size going on. Just a little bit of variety. Oh, see, now I have to press shift on that. Yeah. So this is why I forget when I have to press shift, because sometimes I do and sometimes I just don't have to. It drives me nuts. We'll go over to the front and we'll do the same thing over here. Make sure we get that color, and then just go a little bit darker again. Make it smaller, bigger, And then we have our weird little shrub that actually, I mean, let's be honest, it looks like a sponge. If it were yellow, that would be, well, like that's very SpongeBob-y looking. But it works as a shrub. So we can put it over here. And it looks very organic and natural, which is lovely and is exactly what we are going for. Right there. And we just kind of match it up by moving the arrow keys ever so slightly. And then we can group them together. I'm not sure what happened to the bottom there. I don't think those are grouped properly, actually. I'm probably messing this up. There we go. And then we can just make them much longer until we have the length that we want, and just keep grouping them and then pile them on top like a delicious spongy sandwich. Sandwich. And yeah, you just keep on with that. And then once you have your hedge that you like, you just put it down and you've got your sweet hedge. Why do I still have this magenta color going on? I just realized I still have these pink edges. Why would they not be green? Why have I not done that yet? I don't know. Let's make that green. Thinking this looks weird the whole time. Well, I can't imagine why. Maybe it's because my grass is pink. There we go. Looks a bit better. So we've got our hedges. And we will make them... Well, we can only really go to here. And after that, it doesn't really matter. And there we go, some hedges. They're not perfectly aligned, but I think you get the idea. And then on the other side, again, since we can't just rotate them, we would do the same thing. We would just make them face the other way. So yeah, I think I'm hoping that's pretty easy to follow. I hope so. So that's essentially how I made every little aspect of the Barbie Dreamhouse. And then once I was done creating all of those little things, then we added the delightful little shadows. Now the shadows add just a little bit of interestingness to the entire thing. I mean, it gives us a little bit more, a bit more life. And it's very easy to make the shadows, but I will take them off the grid because we're dealing with, well, for certain shapes, we're not on the grid like this one. So we're just gonna make a little triangle, sorry, not triangle, a rectangle. I know shapes. A rectangle right under here, and we're gonna make it, let's do a greeny black color because we are currently on grass. And we are gonna grab our transparency tool and drag it so it fades out completely. And then we're going to make it 50. We can even bring it lower, maybe like 35. Yeah, and then you just want to make sure that everything is over top of your shadow, and then you have this cool little shadow. And then you basically add the shadow to everything you want. Just everything that's going on, you add your little shadow and make sure that it's under everything. Now the shadows are cool because you can put them anywhere you want, and it adds a little bit of depth. I very much like the shadows, and that includes, that's all your details, all your furniture. Not this dude because he already has his own furniture or his own shadow, but we can add it to every wall. And again, because my light source is kind of coming from up here-ish, I guess, and this is darker, so the light or the shadow is going to be kind of coming from the same way. And you can make it a bit longer if you want, or nice and short, and just put it anywhere you want. So I'm going to stick it basically everywhere. And I think now this is something you can do. You can do it all throughout your illustration. It doesn't have to be at the very end. I usually do it at the very end because I tend to add a lot of elements throughout. But occasionally I will add it a little bit earlier if I know I'm going to be running into some issues if I leave it till the end. And sometimes I'll add it right into a shape. Like if there's something I'm going to duplicate a lot, like a tree, then I'll add the shadow first and then duplicate the tree so I don't have to recreate the shadow every single time I do it. And that seems to help a lot. So as you can see, the shadowing adds just a little bit something extra that really helps bring the whole thing to life. Now, if I had a hedge over here, which I would, then I would also add a shadow to that. The pool doesn't really need much more in the way of shadow. Let's take off our grid so we can actually see what we've got here. And And yeah, so we just keep adding the shadows. We can go up here to the top of the roof and add some more shadowing. We'll make that go on the top so it doesn't interfere with our beautiful shadow. Let's bring that. I should probably have my grid lines on so it actually fits properly. Oh, so silly. It's not gonna fit, is it? Why is it not fitting? Sometimes the shadow just does not want to fit. It drives me nuts. Okay, how's that? Nope, not good enough. You're never good enough. Why are you never good enough, shadow? It's not fitting. Why is it not fitting? Get in there. Like I need, why is it not working? Oh my God. Okay. You know, I'm just going to zoom out far enough so that no one can tell. Okay. How about that? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's fine, guys. It's fine. And then we'll put that there. And then we will maybe move these out because yeah. Now up there, it doesn't actually work very well. See down here, I was using like a greeny color, but because I'm using because I'm using the same color, the greeny color up here, I actually need to make it either multiply or I could just make it like a pinky color shadow. So it just looks a little bit more realistic. Make it a nice pinky shadow here and just draw it out a little bit more. No. I want it nice and short because it's only from this little wall here. Okay, and then we would also do the same with the little sofas. So we'll just condense that here. Whoa, no. And then condense that over here. Condense and bring it over there. And that looks terrible. So let's bring that over here. Yeah, cool. All right. Looks totally great. Doesn't look weird or terrible at all. Ooh, okay. So if I hadn't mentioned this one took like 5 hours, and this is not going to be a 5-hour video because honestly, I don't think you need to watch that. I think the most important thing is to have a general idea of what you're doing, how to do it, and then just go into Affinity Designer 1 or 2 and then just play around with all the different isometric elements, play around with the colors and the shading and the grid tool itself, the front, the side, and the top. Play around with all the different elements that you can use on the grid. Like let's do like a rug out here that's shaped like a flower. Awesome. Look at that. That's amazing. Why didn't I use that one? No, I did an egg rug. Well, this is even cooler. So let's put that on the roof. So that's what you want to play with. You want to play around with all the really cool little tools and stuff and get a feel. And when you get stuck, just Google isometric whatever, like isometric pool illustration or isometric hedge, and you will see so many different examples and ideas of what to create. Figure out exactly how to replicate them and then put them all together in your really cool design. And that's pretty much how it all works. You just got to practice and you got to try a whole bunch of new things and hopefully it works for you. So the very, very last thing I'm going to show you is my very last step in creating all of this. And I'm actually not going to show it on this because this is a garbage build. Let's be honest. It looks terrible. But so I'm going to show you on this one when I did this one. And I'm going to do that because I don't actually need the grid. So when you're all said and done, you've got your illustration, your isometric, everything. It's all good to go. You've got your shadows and it's all lovely and spectacular. And one last thing you can do is play around with the colors. Now, obviously you already have all your colors in there, but you can still play with them a little bit by taking all of it, grouping all of it, duplicating all of it, ungrouping all of it, every single aspect, and then pressing add. And then it takes a minute. And then you have this one single shape of your entire isometric build as like a shadow basically form. Now, I have had a lot less trouble doing this in Affinity Designer 2 than I ever did in Affinity Designer 1. I had a lot of issues where it would create weird little vector points on the inside and I would have to go in and manually delete them. And I'm not sure if that's something they've improved or I've just kind of gotten lucky with my recent isometrics things. But it does seem to be working quite well in Affinity Designer 2. So what I'll do is I'll take that and I will just put it over top of my beautiful little house. Make sure it is exact. Now, if I'm on a grid, it will probably snap, and I'm not on the grid right now, so it's not going to snap, but I think you get the idea. So we're going to put it over top, and then we can play around with colors. Now, this works really well if you're using colors that, like, you're using tones that don't really work really well together. Like you've got some pastel colors here and some bright colors here, and then maybe grays that aren't super amazing. Then you can kind of just go in here and edit sort of your colors universally. For example, if I suddenly decide that this does not want to be a Barbie Dreamhouse, it wants to be like Wednesday Addams Dreamhouse, then obviously it can't be pink anymore, can it? No, we would need to be like black and gray. So let's make things happen. We'll go, well, that just made it brighter. We go to saturation, for example. Where's saturation? Down here. And we can kind of, just play around with all the different things to do. Obviously, that's a very easy way of making it grayscale. I think you can probably do that with any color you want. No? No. So there we've got like a very desaturated sort of green. Or you could make it even bolder if you want way more color. I did this, I saturated it a little bit in my speed art design that I did initially, because I wanted the pinks just to be a little bit bolder, and this is the easiest way to do that. Just rather than going in and changing all the colors, or even selecting a color and doing the the color replacement, just doing one big overlay of universal color really helps. So there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, you can really mess around with this. I can make the whole thing blue. You can do some really very cool effects with this. I mean, I like that. I don't even know what's happening really. It just looks kind of artistic. Ooh. Okay, well, that's Barbie's dream house at night. So there you go. That's pretty cool too. Ooh. Oh, I like that. Very nice. Again, not very Barbie, but I do like it. I mean, some of the options are obviously terrible, but it does look really cool in a lot of cases. So that's one last thing you can kind of just mess around with. It's not mandatory at all, but I just think it adds a bit more fun to any kind of design that you do. But for now, let's get rid of that and go back to our Barbie nonsense house that we're gonna be like, yeah. And let's bring back Barbie house. All right, so that's not even the right one. I took out that plant. Let's get this one back here. This was my proper one. Nope, always must create a duplicate. I hate having only one of something on a page. I must always duplicate. Yes, I must duplicate. So that's pretty much it. That's how I created all the different elements of the Barbie Dreamhouse. That's how I created all the different elements in pretty much every isometric build that I've done. I hope that was all pretty straightforward. If anything was very confusing or you just need more clarity on anything, please let me know, because I have no idea what else might need to be addressed in these, and which of the different elements are the hardest to do. I mean, I can guess, and it's basically anything with a curve, because it just is. Make this bigger. Sorry, I'm playing around here because it's like really fun to do. Just add some yellow shadows and anywho, let's bring that away now. So let me know if there's anything else you guys want me to cover, show you how to do. I am still figuring out a lot of different aspects of isometric design myself. I have been for a while now. For the last probably about year, I've been more focused on learning UI design. I took a 6-month course of UI design, so I'm really interested in that, and Adobe XD and Figma. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. So I'm probably going to do some videos about that. But this is a bit more fun. This is like I can kind of get a little bit more creative and crazy. And I don't ever really have a plan when I'm creating these. So I just kind of go in and I create and I add elements as I go, and things I don't know how to create, I just Google as I go. Isometric lamppost, isometric grass, or if I have an idea, I will just try it out. And if I hate it, I will just delete it and never use it again. and then swear at it under my breath. That's just how design goes. All right, so thanks so much for watching, you guys. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more like this, more how-tos, more speed designs, more, I don't know, more literally anything. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.